All right, so of course we are getting closer to the Texas-Bama game, and we have analyzed it from every different angle, right? We've been slapped it up, flipped it, and rubbed it down. We went to every different matchup we can go through. So now we're into the details of how this matchup may play out. And we were just talking to Travis. It's Travis Ryer, right? Is it Ryer? His name? He was really good, Bama insider, and he agreed with some of the things that I brought up that I think it's going to be tough for either one of these teams to run the football. And honestly, the way I think it's going to go is Sark's script is going to be amazing. I went and looked up my notes from last year. Sark had 8 different personnel packages that he used in that Bama game, and easily, I think, passes the eye test for most Longhorn fans as the most creative script that Sark has had since he's been here at Texas. And I imagine we're going to see something just as creative in this matchup versus Alabama in Tuscaloosa. So expect to see all those personnel packages, the 11, the 12, the Big 11, Big 12, 6-0 line packages, the 2021. Remember, both of your biggest plays in the Rice game, that 37-yard touchdown to Jay Brooks, the 40-something-yard touchdown to JT Sanders, both out of 21 personnel, 2 backs, 1 tight end. Only saw like 5 or 6 snaps of it, but I think you may see more of it versus Alabama. So he may get all of it, 23, 20, 30 personnel. You may get a ton of different personnel groupings and formations. And I think for Sark, and you're going to get that early on, by the way, in the opening script. But when that wears thin, and then you got to get down to the adjustments within the game, the chess match within the game, that's where this game will be won and lost for Texas or for Alabama. And when you're talking about big games, I brought this up earlier, if you're talking about winning a big game, postseason games or really big games, whether it's a regular season matchup that you've been knowing about for a year, there's always extra preparation done. We know Texas, along with Gary Patterson, did a lot of extra preparation for Bama last year. We know now Steve Sarkisian hinting and the players implying that basically Texas has done a lot of preparation for Alabama in the offseason this season. I think even for the Rice game, and I said it before the game, I said it to anybody who would listen, I said, man, if I was Steve Sarkisian, I would not be preparing for Rice as hard as I would be preparing for Bama. And the players wouldn't know it, but I would be, infusing all of my practice periods, all of my, 7-on-7s, my team sessions with Bama material. The players wouldn't know it. We would be talking about Bama, but we would be practicing for Alabama, whether that be the week before Rice, the week of Rice, and, of course, afterwards, you're prepping for Bama. And they've been doing it in the offseason, too. And I still believe that was the case. I was talking to my man Drew Kelson about it, who was on that Longhorn team that won the national title and was from DB High at Houston Lamar. And even he said, yeah, he remembers before Ohio State, they had a game, and I forgot who it was. I don't know if it was Louisiana Lafayette or something like that. And they were practicing all these really cool concepts, and he kept asking Coach, why didn't we use some of those cool concepts we were practicing in the game? And then they broke them all out versus Ohio State. They were practicing them the week before.
Yeah.
Right? But he was like, they didn't use them. Like, why would we use that really cool stuff? It's like, well, we're going to use it. We just need you to rep it a little bit more. Expect that type of philosophy and mentality versus Alabama. They're going to break it out. They're going to be in the bag. But what I said about winning big games, you got to break tendency to win big games because teams are doing extra prep. They're putting in extra prep, right? They're putting in overtime. Nobody's going home in the postseason. Everybody's staying up late, sleeping on the couch, putting in that extra work. Same thing's happening for the big Alabama game, your big regular season matchup with your rival. Mac Brown was famous for the bye week. If there's an A&M or an Oklahoma after that bye week, we're probably going to be preparing for that rival during the bye week. Right? We're going to use that extra time. And with that extra time, because you only have a fixed amount of time to practice and meet with your team. So if you're going to meet and practice about something, you better make sure it's important and relevant. Otherwise, you're wasting truly, literally valuable time that you only have so much of because of the NCAA rules and the CBA and the NFL, anything. So with that time being spent and you putting extra time, that means you really, really get to know and really familiarize yourself with the habits, the trends, the patterns, the tendencies of a team. You know them in and out. I know all Texas patterns, trends, and tendencies. You guys know that. I give them to you all the time. All right. So picture Rod B times 10. Right?
Yeah. With those analysts.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like a bunch of those guys, 10 to 15 of them in a room, and they're all looking at certain concepts, looking at different trends, patterns, and tendencies, and they're bringing all that information to the coach and going, all right, here you go. This formation, 70% of the time in this down and distance, you'll get this route combination. They give it all to them. All right. And that's why it's so important in those big games where all that prep is being done and they're exhausting themselves with the most thorough research possible to find every little minute, minuscule detail that'll give them some type of, advantage, all right, in game planning, that you use that time against them. Use their trends, use all the trends and all the patterns and tendencies they found. You got to use it against them. And that's why breaking tendency is big. One of the more famous examples actually involves Alabama and Nick Saban, right? Nick Saban's in the national championship game against Georgia. Jalen Hurts is his quarterback, and he's trying to figure out every which way, all right, to solve the riddles and the game plans and challenges that Kirby Smart's Georgia team has presented to him. Because Kirby Smart knows Nick Saban better than any other assistant coach. He was with him longer than any other assistant coach. He's with him, 11, 12 years he's with Nick Saban. And took every principle and philosophy, and dogma that Nick Saban taught him, and he built that Georgia program with it, and now they're back-to-back champions. But before that was done, he was trying to do it a little bit earlier in 2017, in that I think it was a 2018 year, but it was a 2017 national title game. And Kirby Smart's game plan and scouting report was so thorough and so exhaustive that Alabama, really, Nick Saban, he was out of ideas. He had no counters. He was going to lose that national title game because Jalen Hurts was struggling. Why? Because Kirby Smart knew Jalen Hurts. He knew him very well. He had helped, on that team. He had seen him in practice. Hell, he was probably there when they recruited Jalen Hurts and probably was helping with evaluations, all that kind of stuff. He knew all the players on that roster. So he knew their weaknesses and their strengths. And one of the only players he did not have a thorough scouting report on was Tua. And Nick Saban decided, I got to break tendency. Only way I'm going to beat Kirby Smart in this game. He knows everything we're going to do. He knows my schemes. He knows all my players. The one player he don't really know that he cannot account for is Tua. I'm putting him in the game. Puts him in the game, and we all remember, what was it, the first or second play throws, a touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. The rest is history. They win the game.
They win the game. Stole it back.
And that was the one big adjustment, right? That was the one way that Nick Saban broke tendency, because that was the one thing that Kirby Smart did not anticipate him doing.
Well, this is a huge test, and you're right. Does Steve Sarkisian have something up his fourth quarter sleeve?
Yeah, he got to do it. Remember the Super Bowl 2017? Go back to that too. The Patriots and the Rams in that Super Bowl. The only touchdown scored was out of 22 personnel, 2 backs, 2 tight ends, and it was out of empty formation. This is where my empty formation obsession actually starts. Out of empty formation, and the Rams and Wade Phillips, who had called an amazing game defensively. Matter of fact, it was a defensive battle between the Patriots and the Rams, and he gave up 1 touchdown, and the only touchdown he gave up was out of 22 personnel, where the Rams left their linebackers and heavy personnel on the field, and then the Patriots spread them out and went empty formation with that group. And turns out the research had been done that season in 2017, there had only been 11 instances the entire season where a team used 22 personnel and went empty formation. And the Patriots did it 3 times in a row to score the only touchdown there. They broke tendency. Hell, they broke tendency that nobody could have prepared for or anticipated. And they didn't even practice it. It came out later. The players actually revealed they did not even practice that. They installed it. But even the Patriots didn't think they were going to use it because they didn't practice it. They installed it but didn't practice it, and that's why they ended up winning the game. That's the ultimate kind of example of them breaking tendency. Also, that same Super Bowl, that's when Jared Goff and Sean McVay, they would line up at the line of scrimmage really fast, try to beat the play clock, and they would try to get to the line of scrimmage with about 25 seconds left on the play clock when they switch off the headset with 15 seconds left so that Sean McVay could talk Jared Goff through the play and through the defense before the snap. And the Patriots, remember, they sent in 2 different play calls. One prior to the snap, and then one after they shut off the headset, and one post-snap, and then they would basically have a different look for a young Jared Goff. They broke tendency. They also played more. There was more zone coverage in that game than they played in any game in the playoffs because they needed to break tendency because Sean McVay knew, they're gonna be playing man coverage, and he built his game plan around, they're playing a lot of man coverage. And so these examples are littered everywhere. Remember last season when the Bills beat the Miami Dolphins in the playoffs? They did it by running a concept of 10 personnel, which is 1 back, 0 tight ends. They had 4 of their snaps against the Dolphins with 10 personnel. They had only used it 7 total snaps the entire season. So they went 10 personnel in 4 plays to beat the Miami Dolphins in that game, but they had only used it 7 times the entire year. But you got to break tendency. How could the Miami Dolphins be ready for it? There was nothing on film to show that they were going to run that, and there were only 7 plays. Why would I devote my very valuable practice time, which I'm limited to, by the way, because of the CBA? Why would I devote it to a play they only ran 7 damn times in the entire 17-game season? You wouldn't. And that's why breaking tendency is so important, because you got to do the 1 or 2 things they don't expect you to do. The Doug Peterson did it too with the Jaguars. Remember that play they ran? It was a 4th and inches actually. A 25-yard run by I believe it was Travis Etienne, if I'm not mistaken. Remember, they lined up in that T formation with 3 players in the backfield. It was only the 6th time the entire season that an NFL team on offense lined up 3 players in the backfield on 4th down, and 3 of them were done by the Jags. That's breaking tendency. That's what Sark and Texas are going to have to do in this game. I don't know how they're going to do it. It's hard to predict and anticipate that, but I guarantee you, if they win this game versus Alabama on Monday, I will come in here and I will show you all the ways that he broke tendency to beat his former mentor. If they lose, then I'll come in here and show you all the ways they did not.
Yeah, and did exactly what Alabama thought they were going to do. We will see. It's great stuff there from Rod's rant. I would also say the examples you gave are great. They're also outside. So Buffalo is playing Miami for the 3rd time. That's a divisional team, so you got to break something out that they haven't seen. Great point, E. And the other ones, the Super Bowl games and the national championship game with Nick Saban, you have extra time to prepare.
All
right?
that time.
You got a month to prepare. Same with the Super Bowl. Well, guess what? Alabama and Texas have had all offseason to prepare for this game, right?
Exactly.
You've had all offseason to find this plan that's going to break tendency, and don't think Nick Saban doesn't know it too. So just another subplot of what makes this game so damn intriguing, because, week to week, once you get past this week and you're getting to your conference, it's tougher.
It's tough, yeah.
You don't have time. You're just trying to build on what you're good at and go. This is the game where you can break out that stuff that, as you said, the players didn't even know why they were practicing, but they were practicing it all summer and all through camp and didn't use it against Rice. And now all of a sudden, here it is. That's the play. Let's do it. We shall see. That's why I said earlier this week when they ran that throwback screen to Jonathan Brooks. To me, they're going to show that look in this game, and they're going to do something else off of it.
Good job,
right? Because they've now shown it twice in a row. They did it in the Alamo Bowl, and Jonathan Brooks scored a touchdown. They did it in the Rice game, which Nick Saban is going to make a point of emphasis with his team to identify on film. Well, then you do something completely different off of it. Give it the entire look. And then there's something that hasn't happened before that's happening, and the defense is like, oh, man, we didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
That's a way you can set somebody up. Love it. Good stuff, Rod.
I like that.